Nyakaza.
Please. Her Excellency, the Vice President of Uganda, His Lordship the Chief Justice, the Right Honorable Deputy Speaker, Right Honorable Alhaji Moses Chigongo, NRM Vice Chairman, Deputy Prime Minister Nakadama, Secretary General of the NRM, Todwong, Honorable Ministers, Members of Parliament, NRM Chairpersons and LC3 Chairpersons, Commanders of the UPDF, starting with the CDF, NCOs and militants, all officers and men of the other security forces, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations all Ugandans on the occasion of the 42nd anniversary of TareheSita. Mkurikeyo orunakurukuru rwa mahe to inform the abazukuru mwe tubakubimanya bazukuru is our word for grandchildren. It's a word for grandchildren. Because Uganda is, the government is of 3 generations, grandfathers and grandmothers, parents and grandchildren, they are all there. So we normally talk of the Bazukuru. To inform the Bazukuru, the 6th of February, 1981, at 0000 hours, saa 2 za asubuhi, is when the 43 of us, but with 27 rifles, attacked the huge garrison of the Kabamba military training school with the aim of regaining some of the 9,000 rifles Fronasa had handed to the joint force created after the defeat of Idi Amin. This united force had been given the designation of the UNLA. That was the army which we created after the defeat of Idi Amin. Although the attack itself, by God's superior intervention, did not succeed, when a Tanzanian corporal, following Tumuni's pistol fire at the quarter guard, rushed into the underground armory and used an LMG to defend it against us, we collected about 40 rifles from the houses around, captured 8 lorries, were joined by some of our fighters, such as Chakabare Anthony, known as RPG also, successfully drove our fleet of vehicles through Kasambia, Nabingora, Chejegwa, Chenjojo, Kagadi, Isunga, Karuguza, Nkoko, Ntwetwe, Masode, and by 0 to 100 hours, saa 9 za usiku of the Europeans say 7th, but would say 6th of February, drove through Chiboga town and camped at Budimbo in Matovo's farm. With that partial success, the revolutionary forces in Uganda had, after due warnings to the other groups, established an alternative power center in Uganda. I say that the failure to capture the 1,000 rifles stored at Kabamba was God's intervention, because at that time, even if we had captured those guns, the government could have recaptured them from us, because we had not yet gathered the thousands of our soldiers that the UPC had deliberately scattered all over Uganda. Sare was in Karamoja, Ivan in Pakwach, Mugume Joram in Moroto, Mugume Chaga was in Jinja, Pecos in Nakasongora, etc. So were the militants scattered all over Uganda. It was therefore God's intervention that we were able to launch the challenge to the UPC, but not to be burdened with the 1,000 rifles that had no people to immediately carry them. Indeed, on the 9th of February, the government forces surprised our temporary camp at Kagobe, Kagurile's home, and recaptured some equipment, including my briefcase. In my briefcase, there was a document on which our new structure of the resistance army had been written. On the 7th of February, at Budimbo, after looking for food and eating, I assembled the fighters and organized them as follows. Section 1, Sam Magara, commander. Section 2, Er Tumuine. Section 3, Hannington Mugabe. Section 4, Jack Mchunguzi. And a few individuals, initially under Kabula, constituted the bodyguard of the chairman of the High Command. That is yours and truly, Yoweri Museveni, the one who is speaking now. Each of the sections had 12 rifles. By the end of the 6th of February, 1981, we therefore had about 60 rifles compared to the 27 rifles we had started with in the morning. We had also picked a very good RPG-7B from Isunga police station near Kakumiro. When the UNLA, the government army that time, showed Mr. Obote and Mr. Paul Mwanga the parade state of our army, the PRA as we were calling it that time, they just laughed with contempt. They had forgotten the biology, which informs us that a healthy zygote, I hope you people you still remember biology. Zygote is a very young embryo, may end up as a giant human being. That small zygote you may see on the scan in the womb of a woman may end up with a giant human being. However, the zygote must be a healthy one. Because if the zygote is not healthy, it will abort or something will happen. But if it is a healthy one, it will grow. And the NRA was such a healthy one. That was the 6th of February, 1981. By the 6th of February, 1986, that is 5 years later, 11 days after the successful storming of Kampala, the 4 sections of the PRA of the 7th of February 1981 had grown as follows. 1st Battalion, Pecos Kutesa and Fred Mugisha. 3rd Battalion, Patrick Lumumba. 5th Battalion, Stephen Kashaka and Ahmed Kashiringi. 7th Battalion, Matai Charugonza and Stanley Mhanji. 9th Battalion, Julius Chanda. 11th Battalion, Chef Ali. 13th Battalion, Ivan Koreta. 15th Battalion, Samson Mande. 17th Battalion, Adam Waswa. 19th Battalion, Peter Kerim. 21 Battalion, Benon Tumkunde. Special Force, Jet Mwebazi. High Command Force, Akanga Yarhanga. Each of these battalions had 1,500 rifles. Remember, we started with 27 rifles. But after 5 years, each of these battalions had 1,500 rifles, except 19th Battalion, which had 1,900 rifles. The mobile brigade under Salim Saleh was comprised of the 1st, 3rd, 5th, 7th, 9th, 13th, and 15th. The 11th and the 19th had been detached to the western axis under Tinyafuza, and the 21st Battalion under Benon Tumkunde was kept in reserve at Kasese to keep an eye on Mobutu Sese Seko, because we suspected Mobutu Sese Seko. This was now a force of about 20,000 rifles, plus numerous support arms, mortars, recoilless cannons, 14.5 millimeter, 37 millimeter, a few Strelas, etc. Eri Tumwine was the army commander, and Fred Rigema was the deputy army commander. Why such growth in such a short time? It was on account of the following reasons. Number one, people being desperately fed up with the brutality and non-accountability of the old armies, the colonial army, Uganda army, and the other one, UNLA. So UPDF must be very careful. You must never adopt the habits of these old armies: brutality, corruption. If you do that, the people will hate you. And that's what had happened. The people hated those armies. Number two, UPC, that was the political party which had grabbed power, blocking the democratic process of genuine and constructive debate that we warned them about many times, but they never paid heed to our warnings. Number three, the collapse of the economy. Those who are old enough, remember there were no consumer goods, no wealth production. There was what they were calling magendo, smuggling, chibanda, foreign currency black market, and kusamra. Kusamra was speculation. But also, number four, the correct ideology of the NRM, comprised of the 4 principles of patriotism, love Uganda, don't concentrate on tribes and religious sectarianism, Uganda is more useful to us than the tribal groups or the religious sectarianism. Love Africa, Pan-Africanism, because we need Africa for prosperity, for a wider market, socio-economic transformation. We must have a new society. We must have modern Ugandans. We cannot have peasants producing other peasants. Omunyakyaro nasiga omunyakyaro ndijo obwensi tekubasa kutunguka. And democracy. These were the 4 principles that we relied on. But also a correct strategy for military struggle and tactics of the NRA-PRA. The correct principles of the NRM united our people as never before. The Ugandans were united because we were telling them about loving Uganda. We are not telling them about tribalism. We are not telling them about religious sectarianism, which was the problem in the past. So they united. They have been united all this time. That's why the NRM always wins elections on the first round. Our constitution says that if you don't get more than 50%, you must go for a rerun. But we have never gone for a rerun. We always win on the first round. Why? Because the majority of the people are united around the principles of the NRM. On the military side, the strategy of the protracted People's War with the tactical battles of quick decision enabled the NRA to metamorphose from a small force of a few sections to a powerful force of brigades. But I must tell you that of these 20,000 rifles which we had by 1986, we had got 800 rifles from Muammar Gaddafi of Libya. You know Muammar Gaddafi who was killed by the Europeans and the Americans. He had given us 800 rifles plus 1 million rounds of ammunition. And Mwalimu Nyerere, marehemu, had given us 5,000 rifles with 1 million rounds of ammunition. So I want to thank the people of Tanzania and the people of Libya for the support they have given us all these years. It's not the first time. This was also one more round. So when I say 20,000, 5,000 from Mwalimu, 800 from Gaddafi, the rest captured from our quartermaster, the government army. We were capturing from the government. Mr. Obote would buy guns from North Korea and we take them from him. So it was a very easy arrangement. When we won power, again the NRM put out a correct strategy which has achieved the following: minimum economic recovery, expansion of the small enclave economy of the 3 Cs and 3 Ts after it had recovered by 2005, I don't have time to go into these details, but the small economy, small money economy, which the British left here in 1962, what we call enclave economy, island economy of modernity, surrounded by a sea of traditional economic activities which were not money activities, was characterized as the economy of the 3 C's and the 3 T's. 3 C's were cotton, coffee, and copper. And 3 T's were tobacco, tourism, and tea. Now, during Amin's time, all the 2 C's collapsed, copper collapsed, cotton collapsed. It was only coffee which was still limping on. And then the 3 T's, tourism collapsed, tea collapsed, it was only tobacco. So by 1986, the small money economy had almost disappeared. So therefore, when we came in, that's what I'm telling you, that aim number 1 was minimum, bring back that small modern economy, money economy, bring it back. And we call that minimum economic recovery. But number 2, expand it. Expand. Like, for instance, if you take tea, the best example was tea. In 1971, tea production was 23 million kilograms of tea exported. By 1986, this had collapsed to 3 million kilograms. But today, the export of tea is 60 million kilograms. So we have gone back to the 1971 level and overtaken it almost 2 times. So that's what I'm talking about here. Minimum recovery, but secondly, expansion, expanding it. Even the livestock, 1967, Uganda had about 7 million heads of cattle. By 1986, this had shrunk to 3 million. But as I speak today, Uganda has got 14 million cows. So it is the same. Minimum recovery, number 1. Number 2, expansion. But number 3, also diversify. Because like your MP Rukari, he touched on it. During the time of the British, milk, maziwa, was not regarded as a cash product. Milk was regarded as just a food to be eaten at home. No money to be earned from milk. But as you know now, milk is a big earner of money for you people. Bananas, the same. Bananas were just for eating according to the British. Fruits. So, Our achievements have been, number one, restore what the British had left. Number two, expand it. But number three, diversify. But number four, build a new economy. Economy not just based on raw materials of agriculture and minerals, but also based on science and knowledge. This is, for example, the automobile industry. As you know, we are now making our own vehicles, electric vehicles, and non-electric. They are all being made here. The buses, the pickups, the minibuses, the cars. The car is called Chira. Chira, that is the name of the Nile. That's what we call the Nile in our language, we call it Chira. So the vehicles our people have made is called Chira electric vehicle. So therefore, we are not only just bringing back the old small economy of the British, expanding it, diversifying it, but we are building a new economy based on the intellect of people, on the human knowledge and the skills. So this is how we have come now. I had Major General Kabamba giving some figures. Those figures are far out of date. The economy is much bigger than what he was talking about. But from now on, this is what I want you to do. So I congratulate everybody who has contributed to the struggle, but also to the reconstruction. All of you, congratulations. But the tasks ahead, in my view, some of them are the following. Number one, fully monetizing the economy by involving all families into commercial activities, agriculture, industry, services, and ICT. With the Chibaro, Chura, no more bakorera chida kyonka, abarukorera yonka, abantu abantu batuchumbagiza, mukibeneyo wanya bakorera yonka, mbeneyo, abarukorera yonka batakorera sente. Tubakiriyo ninga bariyo. Mbona ubona our friends from other parts of Africa may not understand this. Uganda is so rich, as you can see. Even a fool can survive here. You don't have to be very clever to survive. You just stay there, you eat from your brother's house, and many of the people just want to live like that. But we are convincing them, no, you can have a better life. So that's why until about 2013, by 1969, the families in the money economy were only 4%. 96% were outside the money economy, just producing for eating, what they call subsistence farming. We talk, but by 2013, only 32% of the homesteads were in the money economy. 68% were outside, still working for the stomach. But I hear now the figure has come down. 61% are now in the money economy. 39% are the ones still working only for the stomach. So, aim number one must be to make everybody go into money economy. And the sectors for money economy are commercial agriculture with the kibaro, with the calculation. Don't just bump into things which you have not analyzed. Or in industry, or services, or ICT. Number two, value addition to all our agricultural products that are not consumed fresh, as well as to the mineral material, raw materials. This broad-based value addition to all our raw materials will catapult our economy from the size of about $50 billion US now. The economy now is about $50 billion to an economy of maybe $500 billion. That is half a trillion. I don't want you to hear talking of the economy of Uganda, 60 billion, 50 billion. Even if you use the other, the PPP method, 130. We need to go to the size of half a trillion and eventually a trillion within a few years. Because this economy we are talking about now is the economy mainly based on raw materials. Coffee. We are big producers of coffee now. I think we are number one in the whole of Africa, producing 8 million bags. We are earning about almost $900 million from coffee. But this is coffee as a raw material, where we get $2 per kilo, because we sell coffee as a bean. When the foreigners roast it and grind it and pack it, they get $50 from what we got $2. From our coffee of $2, they get $50. So you can see, if you support my big effort of value addition, this economy will no longer be talking of these few dozen billion dollars. You will now go to an economy like the ones of Thailand, Turkey, Vietnam, and so on. Half a trillion. This is what I have demanded an explanation from the PS Finance. Why can't we jump and go to a half a trillion economy instead of just going with billions with what growth rate of 6%, 7%? That's not a qualitative jump. So this is the challenge now, the second challenge I'm putting to you now. Number three, irrigation for our agriculture to stabilize the food supply and the raw material sources. Because we have got a lot of rain, but sometimes it delays. And sometimes, and we always have 4 months of no rain, like now. This is a Kanda, the small drought, January and February. But we can irrigate so that we produce both in the rainy season and also in the dry season, and also stabilize, make sure there is no erratic. Continue to modernize and expand the economic infrastructure, the roads, the railway, electricity, pipe to water, etc. Number 5, continue to expand and modernize the social services infrastructure, schools, health centers, stadiums. Like here, we have not built stadiums ever since we came into government, because we were busy with so many other basics. The only stadium we built was the one of Nambori. It's not that we don't know, but we had so many things to deal with. We had lost so much time. But with time, we shall definitely come back to the stadiums. And I welcome Wanjisu Wasieba for his contribution. That's very good. Number 6, resolutely and uncompromisingly to implement free education in government schools, primary, secondary, and tertiary, so that the children of the poor do not continue dropping out of school on account of the parasitic actors in education who see the children of the poor as a source of money. These are shameless operators. I have heard that some head teachers have introduced charges on the children that they want money to pay arts teachers. Now, when I get information on this one, you will see what I will do. Those headmasters will not like what I will do. Because the children of the poor, if they can't afford, why should you throw them out of school just because some teachers want money, they're impatient, they can't wait for the government to pay them at the right time, to pay them better. So that issue of free education for the children of the poor in the government schools, we are talking about it. You will hear our statement very soon. Number 7, resolutely fight corruption so that the parasites are weeded out of the public service of Uganda. There is corruption. I've been hearing corruption. These young people are bringing in reports about the district service commissions selling local government jobs. Have you heard that? Mahulire ngaba district service commission batunde mirimo. Mwachulire. Kashumbetirize ki. Kumako bajwekire busha. Number 8, uncompromisingly defend the environment that was given to us by God and bequeathed to us by our ancestors against parasites who are enemies of our water sources, the wetlands, the forests, the mountain tops, the rock outcrops, the valley, the lake shores, the river banks, etc. I'll be making a detailed statement on this soon. You have heard that we are going to have massive irrigation. But to have massive irrigation, you must have water. So anybody who is settling or interfering with the water body is an enemy of our future. Abarkuzo mukishara, abarkuza hamijego yenyanja, abakuza nkungu yemigera, abarkuzo mbibira bya government, ababona n'abazugu bihanga habokuba nibenda komya amaizi gaitu kandi amaizi Ngomagara. Utarukumanye ekyo noha. Who doesn't know that water is life? And why would anybody really not respect the water points? Because they are known. All these areas where we were born, you know, this is Ekshara, this is Orfunjo, this is Omjera, this is Ekyambu. How can you come and you turn into a garden when you know that this is not a garden, a place for garden, but a place for water? And 9, working with our African brothers and sisters, deepen the regional integration of East Africa and the African continent. And I'm very happy to see the delegations from Africa who came here today. Thank you so much for coming. With these aims, given what we have already achieved, our strategic goals of prosperity for all, strategic security for Africa, and African fraternity will be achieved. I salute all the people that have made any contribution to these heroic efforts, including the people of Ankole Kigezi area who went through the invasion of 1972, the 1979 war, when I was involved in capturing Mbarara town on the 28th of February 1979, and the protracted battle for Mbarara of 1985, when we besieged Mbarara barracks for 3 months. I want to thank the people who decided to recognize me that I am a big hero and so on. Thank you so much. But more important, I was very happy that they dug out my people. They are people from Kaberamaido, Ruak me Kaberamaido, Larweny me Kaberamaido, Binokan, come on this stadium, on this, show them this podium here. Larweny me Kaberamaido, we are speaking our language. These people cannot understand what we are saying. Come here. Of course, Ivan also belongs to this group. And Omule, come. Now, these are either children or families or wives of the group of 28, which I trained with the help of Mwalimu Nyerere and Samora Machel. I trained that group in Montepuez, Mozambique, between 1976 and 1978. They included General Sare. Sare was also part of this group. And General Coretta, then Omure, Bosco, all of those they are relatives of those people. They were not a good group, those boys. They were drunkards. They were womanizers. But we looked them up. I looked them up and panel beat them into shape. They are the ones who helped me to open the Fronasa on the border with the Tanzanian army. I arrived on the front line in Karagwe, Tanzania here, on the 23rd of December, 1978. And I came with those boys. They had been drinking and all that, but we would lock them up, beat them up. And they are the ones who helped us to build a very powerful force, the Fronasa, because we trained in Tanzania, then crossed the border, trained here. So I'm very glad somebody has recognized them. Thank you so much. Thank you. You can go back. General Mbadi, his advisor in Runyankore is a little bit mixed up because he said something, Okuzumura something, but the proverb says, Oteijuka Tazumura. That is the proverb. It is to do with the paying bride price, and when you separate, then you pay back Okuzumura. But anyway, it's the same. He got the same point, only that it was the wording. So Oteijuka Tazumura. So if you don't recognize these people, I'm very happy that this committee, it is chaired by Dr. Wabdeya or who? Who is chairing that committee? Who is chairing it? Igumba. Who is chairing that committee? The chancellor, whatever they call it. Huh?
Your Excellency.
Yes.
The Presidential Awards Committee is chaired by Dr. Wabdeya.
Yes. I thank them very much. Because this group of 28, some were recruited by Otafiri. You know Otafiri? Some of the boys were recruited from Bar High School here by Otafiri. And these were Fred Rijema, Chef Ali. There was another boy called Ibn who died. I think Ivan was recruited by Mbabazi or who? Have you heard of Mbabazi, you people? I think Ivan was recruited by Mbabazi or Zedekia Karokora. Then I recruited some directly from Kenya and from Tanzania, like Saleh, Mwandisi. Mwandisi was part of that group, the family, Peter Mugasha. There was another boy called Sabena. I have never known what happened to Sabena. What happened to Sabena? I don't know what happened to Sabena. Oh, those boys. So I had recruited some directly. But then there was a boy called Echo, Dennis Echo, who was working with the Mbabazis and Otafiri. Dennis Echo is the one who recruited those Kaberamaido people. those boys. But unfortunately, he took them to UPC later. So by the time we went to the bush, many of them had been diverted from us to UPC. And that's how they killed Dennis Shaw was killed by those people. I don't know who killed him. He's a lawyer. He was a lawyer. But it's good that you have dug them up and recognized them, because they contributed whatever the confusion of the politics of Uganda, which diverted them. So abambara ebina bagambira byona biriya omurujungu okureba ngo buri muntu abantu abanyabuzare banyibona mabahaburo kukorera enshaho nenda azana bakozesa ekibaro kandi ekindi okugambira abantu bakarwa mu bisharira bakaturekera amaizi tukagakozesa okushikerera ebihingwa byona nabigamba tingwenda kubigarukamu. I congratulate everybody and I wish you good luck. Thank you very much.